Import gaming is a beautiful thing. It's a way to broaden your access to great games in a way that has only been made easier and more accessible over the last couple of decades. Despite that, I know a lot of you out there haven't taken that first step into the import space, and that's fine. A big reason I'm taking this turn toward import gaming coverage is to make that world more accessible to more gamers, and this video in particular is made to be your runway. I'm Patrick, and welcome to the newly rebranded Little Akiba Games. The great thing about today's game industry is that there are so many ways to get into import gaming, no matter what angle you want to approach it from, that you have options for days, and I want to touch on all of them here. We'll start with the retro market. Retro gaming is alive and well, even though the specter of disc rot and other physical damage looms large as the years wear on. Generally speaking, cartridges are far less susceptible to long-term damage than CDs and DVDs, at least when they're well taken care of. This opens up a lot of historically great platforms like the Super Famicom, Mega Drive, and the one that we only got a tiny slice of in North America, the PC Engine, aka the TurboGrafx 16. Even better, third-party hardware refreshes like the Analog SG and the Retron 5 offer up region-free alternatives to the original consoles, and because they were manufactured far more recently, any wear and tear that might someday affect them is a long way off, so you can focus entirely on growing your software library. That being said, this is easily your worst option. Awareness of retro games increased by a lot in the last few years, and people who had the means to spend on their libraries did so in droves, jacking prices up to levels thought unimaginable just 5 years ago. There are plenty of games that are still reasonably priced, but where it used to be that every system had 4 or 5 games that were generally out of reach, like your Magic Knight Ray Earths and your Mushas, now there are huge swaths of each system's libraries, both domestic and import, that you have no reasonable hope to obtain unless you are objectively, independently wealthy. It's not quite to the degree of table scraps, but that might not be far off either. Worse, when you're playing on the original hardware rather than modern third-party devices, the need to navigate converters, boot disks, and potentially disparate video standards are as much of a thing now as they were back in the day, which may be more trouble than it's worth. However, if you do decide to take this route, first of all, good luck, but eBay and Facebook Marketplace are going to be your best friends. If you're really dedicated, it isn't even hard to find original import hardware around if you want to make the deep dive. Just keep in mind that you'll need to involve voltage adapters if you choose to use that method. A better compromise if you want to play on hardware that is at least semi-authentic is the retro mini market. These are miniature reproductions of classic hardware produced by the platform holders themselves, loaded with a good sample size of those systems' libraries, and most of them are very expandable by the use of apps like Hackchi and Project Eris to add whatever games you care to have, including any and all imports of your choosing. Another plus is that they come with brand new controllers, which can be a sticking point with their aging original counterparts. The bad news is that we're also getting to the tail end of the retro mini era by all indications. PlayStation Classics, which are by far the most versatile of these devices, still pop up from time to time, and I think there are still some Genesis or Mega Drive Mini 2s out there to be bought, but no platform holder seems to be showing an appetite for making mini reproduction hardware a regular part of their product line, especially Nintendo and Konami. Prices will increase accordingly because everyone who has one of these now is well aware of what they possess. If you're going to get in, do it quickly, although it'll still have to get a lot worse than it is now before the cost goes up into real hardware and software territory. Now, if you ask me, as controversial as this statement might be, the best and easiest way by far to get into retro import gaming is by PC emulation, which was incidentally my own gateway to the import gaming world in my mid-teens. You bypass the exploitative aftermarket completely. Through the power of shaders, you bypass the natural tendency of retro hardware to look like garbage on modern TVs. And of course, you set yourself up for absolutely limitless discovery potential to find your way to your next favorite game. This also makes it an ideal companion for the real hardware crowd, because you can sample games before you decide whether you want to add them to your physical library, an unimaginable value when the alternative is dropping potentially hundreds of dollars on a game you don't even know for sure that you'll like. Even better, through the use of ROM hacks and fan translations, we're seeing teams out there today localizing games from the 90s and aughts, which can turn this into this, which in and of itself gives it a major leg up on all other forms of import gaming. Now, it bears stating that if you're playing on retro minis, you have this option as well, because what you're doing there is also emulation, just unofficially licensed hardware. If you're wanting to go the PC route, the good news is that many RetroArch cores for older systems will run on basically anything. If you need something stronger for consoles that released in a year that begins with the number 2, I will leave you in the capable hands of the emulation king himself, RGT85, to point you in the right direction. A good emulation machine deserves a place in everyone's gaming rig, and although it's a practice he has just recently picked up, he's doing a great job of showing the world what's out there at a decent price. Finally, we have modern gaming, which will be a big focus focus of my import coverage. The great news is that there are no real barriers of entry to import gaming anymore. All 3 consoles, the Nintendo Switch, the PlayStation 5, and the Xbox Series X, are completely region-free, so you don't need the aid of any converters or boot disks to get up and running, and not only do you have specialty merchants like PlayAsia and Video Games Plus to use as sources for import titles, they're also carried by mainstream outlets like Amazon. Even eBay and Facebook Marketplace can be a good source for import releases, and with so many of them having English language support, and with so many Japanese publishers knowing full well that there's an appetite in English-speaking countries for their games, the global market is an absolute buffet of import titles that either didn't get physical releases in the West, got only limited physical releases, or didn't get releases at all. Simply put, if you aren't keeping an eye on what's available abroad, you're severely limiting the scope of what games you have available, and I'm here to help you fix that. Whatever way or ways you decide to get into import gaming, let me just say I'm glad you are, and I'm here to help you get started. I've got videos on the way going deep into real hardware, retro minis, emulation, and modern releases to point you in the right direction. To that same end, if you have any particular questions about the import scene, past or present, let me know and I'll see about addressing those as well. That's all for now. If you like this video, then please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, as it will all help drive the channel as we move in this new direction. Click the notification bell to be informed of any new videos as they're posted. I look forward to seeing you back here at Little Akiba Games next time.